right, welcome back to this week's edition of the Rock and Roll Ghost podcast. This week we have an old friend of the Rock and Roll Ghost moniker, Richie Farina. I've known Richie since back when he was at MOTO. What was your first job at MOTO?
I was a Garmager 2. So essentially the CDP 2, whatever, on Garmager. So there was two of us there.
And you ended up becoming the executive for CDC for a while, the Chef Texas Cuisine, right?
I did, yeah. Actually, my final year there, 2014 till 15, when I left, I was actually named the executive chef.
Oh, the executive, you were. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
The timeline got a little confusing for me towards the end.
Yeah.
I knew that Chris Jones was in that position for a while, and then unfortunately, then the Homaro passed. And in case you don't know, the person that started MOTO, which was one of the premier iconic science food destinations in Chicago, that you guys were in Fulton Market before almost everybody else.
We were, yeah.
Unfortunately passed away, yeah.
Yeah, literally there was nothing in Fulton Market. I remember when I actually rode my bike there for the first time, just to make sure, like my stage, whatever, like making sure I had the path right, riding down Fulton Market and like meat packer, old abandoned warehouse, meat packer. Oh, there's the restaurant. Okay. I'm like, so it was always that, like, obviously now I think, it's changed so much in almost 14 years now, but yeah, it's very cool. Like, and it's great to see how it is, but yeah, like how it was back then was definitely.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to see what Fulton Market looked like back in the day, check out Steven Seagal's Above the Law. Trust me, I know Steven Seagal sucks, but this is actually a good movie directed by the guy that did The Fugitive, so it's a good movie. It just happens to have Steven Seagal in it, and there's this great cop criminal intersection right at Fulton Market in the meat stock, the meat area. And you'll get an idea of how kind of shabby the area was.
Yeah, riding there to work during the summer, having just like dumpsters full of meat out in the street was always a fun smell.
yeah. And I remember going there and like nearly tripping over and killing myself. I don't know how many times trying to get around because that street was rough.
Yeah.
And I remember also when I was be there for like events, wine dinners or whatever, you guys would have people out there with flashlights making sure that people's rides got there because it wasn't exactly safe at night.
No, yeah, we used to have to literally go out there and use flashlights to flag down cabs because cabs wouldn't even come down the street because they didn't know that anything was down there.
Yeah. So yeah, just imagine that, and now take a visit to Fulton Market now. It's pretty much end-to-end splendor and high-end restaurants and high-end everything. It's truly as bizarre a sight to see for somebody that's as old as I guess I am. To see. But after you left MOTO, I know you did Carnival Kings, the show. There was a show on Cooking Channel for a bit, which I enjoyed. I'd hoped there would be another season of, but there were so many carnival shows that I'm sure they probably just said, we're going with one of them. But what else did you do between then and ever? You kind of seem to not fall off the radar because I always kind of had an idea where you were at, but you just weren't. You didn't seem to be permanently at someplace.
Yeah, so I think when I left MOTO, I kind of took the summer off to just kind of figure some things out, and I was very lucky enough to pick up a little small job up in Toronto. I did a pop-up collaboration with Stella, the beer company, and we did a 5-course kind of multi-sensory dining experience. So it was like a 3 or 4 week dining like event, I think, whatever. It was like the whole month of September. And essentially I was a chef of it, and they hired like 3 or 4 other sensory experts. One scent guy, one sound guy, one did visuals, essentially designed a whole kind of experience around the menu, which was super fun. And actually one day I would love to be able to do something like that and have a restaurant like that. If someone had a blank check, like, here you go, do whatever you want. Kind of that multi-sensory dining experience, like Ultraviolet or Sub Emotion, kind of like that super really out there experience. But it was awesome. I was able to kind of design everything. I clicked really well with one of the designers, Erwin. He was like the scent guy, and we kind of put the whole thing together. So I did that for about a month, and then came back to the city. And Chris was actually working for a company called Hampton Creek at the time, but now it's called Just. They're a plant-based food technology company based in San Francisco. So essentially, for about a year, I did a bunch of like traveling demos for them. So I went around the different locations that were using their ingredients. I'm gonna do little pop-ups, like in office building or whatever, like, hey, like this, this mayonnaise or dressing or this egg, is within your commissary. These, if you don't know about it, let me tell you about it, blah, blah, blah. Did that for about a year, realized I really didn't, travel wasn't bad, but just being on the road like 5 days a week wasn't my favorite thing. And I think that they realized too that it was just, there was 3 of us in the division. It was kind of, essentially they closed the division after a year. So again, like I was still based in Chicago, but just living at O'Hare, flying out, every Monday and coming back every Friday. So when I got back, I realized that I'm happiest just in the kitchen. I really didn't want a title. I really didn't want to, I just want to get back in the kitchen and start cooking again. So I called my friend Sarah at Monteverde and said, hey, like, are you hiring? It might sound weird, but I'm just looking for a job. I don't need a title. I just want to cook. And I planned to do that for about a year. Ended up being 3 years that I was there. Kind of helped up and run the brunch program that they had when they started doing that in Monteverde. And then just happened to see the announcement back in 2019 or whatever. So of Curtis doing a new spot, ever, and that they'll be opening sometime in the following year. I kind of knew him through Omar and events that we had done. So basically just reached out, kind of via Instagram, was like, hey, are you putting a team together yet? I'd love to, be a part of that, CDC, sous chef, kind of whatever you're looking for. At the time, I felt that sous chef was probably the best position for me, just due to the fact of like never working in a 3 Michelin Star restaurant before, really not knowing the standards, but not like knowing Curtis's standards. So I feel, like someone that in the CDC position obviously needs to either have worked for him before, worked at a 3-star place, like knows kind of the way to run that ship. So yeah, just kind of went through a couple interview processes. And then back in, I think, February of 2020, got the official letter from Muser, saying they wanted to hire me as a sous chef. And then, just kind of went from there. So, is like basically, obviously, pandemic hits, everything shuts down. They were, I think, in a way, lucky that we weren't open just yet. But basically, we had to find where everything was. If you have thousands of dollars worth of plates and silverware that are in transit somewhere and they're on a cargo ship that you have no idea where it is, so you have to do all that stuff. So, I joined the team back and then, and just kind of helped Curtis and Justin open up all the boxes, take all the stickers off every single 9 pan. Like I'd never been a part of an opening before. So that's also why I wanted to kind of join this team at this time, just to kind of really, I know how to cook. I know, I have a really good base, but I know I need to work on my finesse. I need to work on little touches here and there. And I believe that Curtis, is one of the most finesseful chefs in the world. So why not try to work under someone like that and soak up everything he has? So yeah, now is kind of the main reason for going there, and fast forward, a little over 2 years later, we're still going strong.
Yeah. Now, okay. So there's a lot to unpack in everything you just said. So yeah. So in case anybody was wondering, the company Just is not run by, but Chris Jones, the former executive chef for CDC at MOTO, who you kind of trained under along with Omar, is the kind of the chief creative person there, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He's
so
I think he's called culinary director or whatever at this time right now.
Yeah. So that was cool. I always thought that was cool. But I had no idea you were at Monteverde. So that's really cool. So what was your time there like? I mean, you said
it was awesome. It was really cool to like reconnect kind of with Sarah. We had met during Top Chef, and even our brief time there together. We always kind of clicked. I consider her a very good friend, and yeah, it was. I have some basis in Italian cooking. I cooked at a couple of Italian places in Boston when I was there, but never to the extent and the degree that they do at Monteverde. So I mean, it was a great learning experience. I worked almost every station there. And then when they decided to start doing brunch, they had one sous chef at the time that was kind of running it. And then when he left, I guess unofficially, I kind of helped make sure everything was super good, to go in the morning. But yeah, no, it was great. It was awesome. I loved learning a ton, under her. It's a great family atmosphere. It's just the feeling of walking in that kitchen, and they really, really are a very tight knit community and a very tight knit family, like most kitchens are. But yeah, just like the passion that she has for the food really comes through in all the employees. So it was a really good, positive food experience that I needed at the time. I had some personal stuff going on that I needed to kind of deal with, and having the positivity at work was super helpful.
Great. Yeah, no, it's really cool. And another kind of, you mentioned about Top Chef. That was the year it was in Texas, right?
It was.
Okay, so it was Texas, and there were 5, I believe, Chicago chefs in it, which was insane. It was Sarah Grueneberg, who at the time was at, why am I forgetting the name? It's
Piaget.
Spiaggia, right.
Yep.
There was Chris Jones.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it was the first time they ever, I don't know if they ever done it again, they had 2 people from the same restaurant on the show together.
Yeah. So there were you 3, there was Heather,
yep.
And who was the 5th? I'm blanking.
It was Chewy and Beverly at Parachute.
Oh, that's right, 6.
Yeah, there were 6 of us in that scene. I think, and Beverly was at some hotel on over there before it was before Parachute time.
Yeah, right. That was a for Chicago fans. I mean, you guys, it's like there's no reason that somebody from Chicago shouldn't have won, but
no, there's things there that whatever, it might be producer run, but
it's like you guys had. It's like when a movie gets nominated for 4 nominations in one category. It's like either they're gonna all split the vote or somebody's gonna win.
Yeah.
But that was a really cool season. It was not without its controversy too.
There's certain things here or there, I think.
But well, okay, let's dig into a little bit with Ever. You said you wanted to kind of you didn't want the CDC position, which is directly under the executive chef, the person that Curtis, I'm imagining, is not as directly hands-on on every single thing, or maybe he is, having interviewed him, but he needs somebody to kind of man the kitchen while he's doing other things. So that would be the CDC position. As sous chef, what is your position? What does your job entail at Ever?
So the way I kind of look at it, at least from my perspective, is my job is to make Curtis and Justin's job as easy as possible. So whatever they need to be successful throughout the day, obviously monitor the production of food, make sure that is up to par where we need to be, taking on any butchery or maybe stock or sauce preparation that a CDP might not be at that skill level yet to take it on. And then not recently, probably over the past year, we lost the bread baker. So essentially we have a bread pairing that goes along with 4 of our savory dishes. So once you get past a couple of the first cold preparations, once you kind of get into the hot stuff, one of Curtis's signatures is having a bread pairing. So we do 4 different breads right now. We do non-dairy, we do gluten-free, pretty much everything that can be accommodated by whatever bread preparation. So there was no one at the time to kind of take it over. So last year, right before our summer break, I kind of worked with Lucas, our pastry chef, and understood, kind of got trained by him real quick on a lot of the bread stuff. And that's kind of been one of my main roles over the past year. So I'll get in, early, probably like 8:30, get all everything, meased out, start making the breads, get them going. And then obviously each person gets, a piece. So you're making anywhere from, 60 to 70 pieces for each course, 200 plus pieces plus extra stuff. So certain busy days, if we're at 70 something, you're making 300 whatever small pieces of bread. So I kind of been taking that on. And then what's really been interesting too, a lot of fun over the past couple months or so, I've gotten along really well with Justin from the very beginning, and we've built a really good rapport. And now it's like when him and Curtis kind of, maybe come up with an idea for a dish or whatever. Or even if he's, Justin's like, hey, I want to do whatever, tomato, basil, and blah, 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 name a couple different ingredients. So I want you to make a puree, a pickle, whatever. But just kind of let me go, and I'll make, those, versions of those things or whatever, and bring them back and have them kind of taste them and see, if it's stuff they want to go in that direction. So, still, being not, title of CDC or any of that stuff. I think it's really cool that Curtis and Justin both trust my talent and my palate enough to help contribute to menu items. So right now, a lot of the stuff, there's a lot of, very directly Curtis and Justin just dishes, but there's a few here and there that I've been able to have some input on and, put some components on, which to me is really awesome to have two people that I respect really well, trust, my palate and that content to actually have something go on the menu.
That's great. No, that's really great. And for the people watching this that don't know about Ever Restaurant, it's Curtis Duffy is an acclaimed chef. He's been around for a long while now. He's he even has a documentary about him. It was about the startup to Grace, his former 3 Michelin Star restaurant that had a lot of issues at the end and had to close, and that's why he started Ever. Describe what people might experience at Ever.
So the way I hope people kind of experience is it's, the 2.5 hours that can take you away from whatever you're dealing with at that time. So, even when you walk in, all the walls are custom sculpted to look like sandstone by an artist, Vlad, out of that they met up with, and his work is absolutely amazing. It's all very when you walk in, it's kind of neutral and everything's black because obviously you want the food to be the star. But yeah, I think it's just more of the way that we want people to experience it is that everything you could possibly want and need, we should already know what you want and need. So if you're whatever, if you're a returning customer, we have notes on you, and we know you drink sparkling water. When you sit down, we're not going to ask you for your water preference. We already know you like sparkling water, so it's going to be poured when you sit down. You're left-handed, so also we're going to be set up that way already. It's very observant, and we are very, very grateful for anybody that comes into the restaurant. Obviously, we know we're a celebration place. We're a high price point. People come in for anniversaries, birthdays. I got a job promotion. They're all very different experiences, and each table is essentially your table. We're not going to rush you. It's your pace, however you want to do it. We have a whole system to kind of control that, but we follow your pace. So if you want to take if you want to take a 5-hour dining experience, that's your night. Go for it. If you want to be out in an hour and a half, you can as well. So yeah, it's we want everyone to experience at Ever a customized dining experience to you that we feel like you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and what's the course level at, or the amount of courses?
I think right now we have a 12-course tasting menu.
Okay, and for people that may know about Grace had 2 separate tasting menus. One with meat type proteins or fish or what have you, and then they had a vegetable. But here, Curtis decided to just intersperse and just have one singular menu, correct?
Yeah, we have one menu right now. There were talks possibly of going to 2, but I think we're going to stay with the 1, mainly just due to lack of turn circumstances. When we opened up the restaurant, it was literally right in the middle of the pandemic. So, even just sourcing things like fennel or carrots, basic things that you can normally get, we had trouble getting that stuff. So, so I think the best way to kind of really focus on giving the best possible experience to the guests was let's really focus in and do 10 to 12 really amazing courses. A good mixture. There's some vegetarian options on the menu. There's some meat and fish. It's got a good variety. It's not all just like one thing. But yeah, I think it's a good journey that guests get taken on right now, and it's more just being able to really focus in and nail those courses. Because there's also been hands dealt with. I don't know if people realize it within this or that, but like even labor has been a huge issue for many restaurants. Just finding people that want to work and work the hours we do. I think the pandemic for a lot of places kind of hit a reset button, and it's good and it's bad. A lot of people kind of realized maybe they want a better work-life balance. Maybe the industry isn't for them anymore. So it's been a struggle to find diehard cooks again that want to work the 12 to 14-hour days and be a part of something and grow it. We have a good crew now. I think we've been about the same amount of cooks for about 6 months. So we're gelling and we're getting to where we want to be. But yeah, I think the main reason for the single menu has been just mainly based off circumstance of sourcing of ingredients and the labor pool.
Yeah. Now, that's even a more problematic thing for a restaurant like Ever, is that you not only need people, you may not need just people, you need people that are, number one, committed. And I'm sure Curtis is someone that says, even if they're not the best at what they do, they could be trained to be.
Oh yeah, we can train people to do what we want to do. We could train someone to scrub the pot the way we do. We could train someone to pick the herbs the way we do, but we can't force someone to be motivated. We can't force someone to want to learn. We can't teach someone that drive that is only in a certain handful of people. So yeah, if someone is fresh out of school, for that example, we literally have a girl named Leslie. She's a 16-year-old high school student that came through on a tour one day with her class and is in the cooking program at school and asked to come work one day to check it out. And now she's working 3 or 4 days a week. She's a needle in a haystack. She's a diamond in the rough. It's like someone that came in super green but wanted to learn and soak up everything that we were wanting to teach her. And now she's one of she's a good pillar within the restaurant, someone that we rely on to come in and pick all the herbs the way we want to get the plate set up. So there's, and we'll take on, anyone, any skill level, as long as you want to learn and really want to kind of dive into what we have to offer. Yeah.
I can imagine for her that's going to be a pretty amazing first job on the restaurant.
Yeah, we told her, you set a pretty high expectation. Your first job being at a 2, hopefully in a couple, next year 3 Michelin Star restaurant.
Yeah, I can the part you're talking about training somebody from whatever. When I was 22, I got I'd say talked into. I was kind of aimless. I got talked into a job at a bakery through a friend of mine whose brother worked at a place.
Okay.
And the older guy that ran owned the place, he was like, he wanted somebody like me because I don't have any experience in food. So train me on how to, do it properly. And I being in any kind of food business where you're working those long, I was working like 12 or so hours a day and doing midnight, bakery, doing midnight shift.
Yeah.
I would never want to do that again. It just killed me. It literally killed me. But that's why I appreciate what you guys do so much and why writing about food became such an easy thing, because unlike most food writers, I had some level of experience in what goes in to making that commitment and working those hard hours. I think that's why I always had a better connection with you guys, chefs and cooks and stuff than most food writers do, because quite honestly, most food writers these days are just talking, either talking about nonsense or they're trying to just get lists. Or it's like, I was always interested in the people running it. It's like, it felt better. Well, and Ever is at 2 or 3 stars.
Michelin? We're at 2 stars right now. Obviously, the goal is 3.
Yeah. And this was technically your second year.
Yeah, so we got the 2-star rating within the first 3 months, because we opened up in July of 2020, shut down in October of 2020. and then reopened in February. So at that point, I think, however many times that Michelin was able to get in, obviously because it's all anonymous, you have no idea who they are, when they're coming in. Within that 3-month period, we earned the 2 Michelin stars. And then last year, kind of, if you want to count kind of like from February to February being maybe our first full year, we're able to maintain it. And now this year, going again. And I think we're kind of looking at it as like this year's the first, not real year, but like there's been, because we're still coming out of, still in minimal pandemic last year. So still masks were required, all the things you were kind of having to deal with. So we're looking at this year as kind of the first year without obstacles, I guess you can kind of call it that.
Yeah.
We're really, really kind of hunkering down and pushing harder than we can, striving obviously for the 3, and just being a little more vigilant of some things, and really hoping that this year we are honored with that 3rd star.
So let me ask you about that. What you guys are already pretty well reviewed and pretty well, you've got a pretty big esteem going. What are those things? There must be micro, they must be.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to the level, that Michelin looks to get, promote to that 3rd star, I think, just guessing, it is on that micro level. Okay, if there's 4 pieces of fish that go out to a table, are they all exactly cooked the same amount on the inside? Does every single one have the same amount of herbs on it? Do all the herbs look pristine? Those are the things that we're really focusing on now, is mainly just consistency of everything. Because even, that was the hard part too, dealing with, lack of term, a revolving door of cooks. If you train someone to be on the fish station, and they're working for 3 months, and then someone else comes on and you train them to work for a couple months, those little nuances of cook to cook are going to come through. So, I think, that might be now, having kind of the stable crew we have, being on the same stations and kind of being able to really kind of hone in. We've promoted 2 of our other CDPs to sous chefs back in February. So now we have, 3 sous, the CDC, Justin and Lucas, our pastry chef, plus Curtis. So, there's a decent amount of management that can oversee everything, and really, I think, kind of, again, just really focus in. And then the main thing, we even have it written on the wall. There's a whiteboard in the room when you walk in. It just says consistency. That's the main thing we focus on every day. And the way I try to kind of look at it, I was trying to turn myself, I think with tasting menu restaurants, it's very easy to, especially prep wise, make yourself very robotic in a good way of, okay, like my call time's 1, I know at 1:15 I need to have a pot of water on to blanch these vegetables at 1:25. At 1:45, I know I need to start this project so I can be done by 2:15. So there's that way of like, that's the way I even kind of look at consistency, is like day-to-day prep of like getting to a point where you don't even need to look at your prep list. When you're walking in, you already know the first 5 things you're doing and the first 4 things you're grabbing, because you do become repetitive in that way, but in a good way, because that's the only way that I think you can really achieve the high level of consistency that we want to get to. And, lack of term, like perfection of food is just repetitively doing it every single day. And even at the same time, just so you get that muscle memory kind of going.
Yeah. No, I recall, I remember when I was at the bakery, I would come in at midnight or whatever, like be there a few beforehand, because I had to be on the floor by midnight. And boy, that's it's really hard to do. I was living in Blue Island, working in Downers Grove, so the trip was a pain in the ass too.
Oh geez.
But my first thing would be to go in and start working on the bread, because that had to be done, get an approval for the guys to separate, and then I had to work on the dough, blah blah blah. I had all these things I kind of had to do, and then there were daily things that would come up, so you had to, you pretty much knew each day what you were generally expecting. Some days were, curveballs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's all about being prepared and knowing what you're doing, and also paying attention, not, again, like you said, going through the motions, being robotic about it either.
Yeah, like even with that stuff, like, say I kind of break my day down in time frames. So I know, if I don't have the sponges started by 9:30, then I'm already behind. So, by 9:30, they need to sit for an hour, and then 10:30, I start mixing them. They go in the proofer so that we can shape them later on. So yeah, just kind of having those time stamps of when you need to have certain things done. Even though for me anyways, even just taking that other level of consistency, take it all the way down to even your prep timing throughout the day.
Yeah, well, and then the worst thing about bread is that all of that, any kind of baking, but bread especially, or raising yeast stuff, all depends on what the hell you got to figure out. The heat, is it more hot? Is it colder in the room? All that nonsense, which is just we used to have to put like buckets of cold water in the refrigerator during the summer because it would get like 100-something degrees, in this place. So yeah, it just, bread is a giant pain in the ass. That's why I will forever love the part in Anthony Bourdain's first book about the guy, the bread maker guy that he keeps hiring because he's great, but he's insane. And just like there's so much that needs to be done with bread. People sometimes, honestly, more people probably know than ever because that whole bread thing that happened during the pandemic.
Oh yeah, everyone became a bread baker and started making sourdough during the pandemic.
Well, I've got a couple more just quick questions for you. You got a week?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you do in a week off?
So let's see. It depends. So this summer break, I went down and visited some family down in Orlando. We went to Disney World for a day, which was fun because haven't been there in forever. And now back in the city for a couple of days, and I'm going to take a few days and lay on my couch with my dogs and watch Netflix and not do anything because it's rare that it actually happens. And then over the weekend, go in, check on the restaurant, make sure everything's still running fine. I know Muser's been back, a few times there. I think we'll get a few things at the market on Saturday. So we have it for Monday, kind of our prep day when we get back. But the main thing, I think the reason why Curtis and Michael really strive for these, essentially every 6 months we take a break. So we take a break during the summer, always right around July 4th time-ish. And then we take that first week of January off. Is really kind of hit the reset button. You go 6 months at full steam. You start getting a little on edge. Little things start to annoy you here and there. Yeah. You get, not the burnt out term, but you get it where you could use a nice little break. So the idea is, they want everyone to kind of reset, redo, reset your clock, kind of get some really good rest, see some friends and family that maybe you haven't been able to see for a while, and then come back stronger than ever, and really push that second half. So yeah, it's just kind of it's a good way to get everyone to kind of rest and reset a little bit, and then come back super strong and ready to do it again. Yeah,
no, I remember that feeling because we would have the same thing. We would be off in July and then we would be off around the new year. And the closer you got to that, especially that July break, the crankier and crankier getting. It's like, I'd just let it happen already.
Yeah.
The last day is the worst when you just want to get the hell out of there. It's like, no, we still got this. No.
Yeah, we still got to shut everything down. We still got to bag all the stocks and freeze them. We still got to do all that. So we've gotten used to kind of starting that stuff earlier. But yeah, you could definitely tell by that last day or two, everyone's just ready for the break.
It's always a good idea too that people are on edge when there are knives around too. Well, okay, so you're sitting, you're kind of chilling out now. I'm sure you've heard about it. I have to ask, have you watched The Bear on Hulu?
I have not. It's one I want to check in on. I have a little bit. I have to catch up on part 2 of Stranger Things. I've been good to try to avoid the internet because I don't want any spoilers of what happens in the last 2 episodes. The new season of The Umbrella Academy just came out, so I've been watching that. But no, I definitely want to check out The Bear because it looks like one of those ones where it might actually get it right, what it's like to be in kind of that style of.
It does. It's a little extreme for a beef place, but
okay.
But it's still, I think it's probably one of the most accurate, entertainment things.
Okay.
But man, having worked in that kind of environment with some people that were in that environment, it's like it was PTSD all over again.
Yeah, you're going with that. Yeah, but no, yeah, from the few previews I've seen, it looks like it's again one of the few entertainment outlets that actually capture the passion. Like when you have a passion for this and you love this and this is what you like dedicate your life to, it's really hard to recreate that passion. And from the small clip previews that I've seen, it looks like the main character kind of carries that passion that we have into that.
Yeah, it's everything's heightened. Everything seems worse, and maybe it's everything bad that could possibly happen. All combined into one 8-episode series.
Gotcha.
So, all right. Well, Richie, I really appreciate you taking the time today. We've kind of gone over a lot of things. I've talked to you and Curtis now about ever, and I'm praying hopefully next year to finally get in there. And I don't think I've ever eaten any of Curtis's food. So,
well, we love to have you, and I'm sure it'll be a great experience.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have a good rest of your week. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Right, good catching up. Take care.
All right. Good talking to you. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.